Hello, 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 hello. So, today I'm going to be doing some face-up work, both finishing up the work I did on the imposter the other day. I got a layer of sealant on that, so I can probably keep building opacity on the face. And also I'm going to be getting started on the merfolk doll's face. Because I got the paint job done, and I got a layer of pastels on top of that. Yeah. So that should be fun. I already did the reroute on her. It's sort of... I don't know how well this is coming across on camera, because I know my camera is sometimes bad at color balancing, but it's sort of a pinkish red. Yeah. It should complement the oranges really well if I blend that all together. So, first very important thing, don't breathe in pastel powder. So, I sincerely hope that does not affect audio quality. I'm pretty sure it didn't last time I had to do that, but I have a bunch of stuff for all of this. So, I have a pencil roll with all of these watercolor pencils. I have some more in the box over here, but yeah. So start with, I'm just sort of outlining facial features, but I don't want to do that with anything too harsh in case I change my mind about anything and I want it to be erasable. So I'm going to go in with a light blue that isn't that different from the skin tone, and also put gloves on because I don't want the oils on my hands to get underneath the sealant and sort of corrode the paint job. There we go. I have a container of water here, which is useful because these are watercolor pencils. So I can get more pigment off if I just dip them in the water. Yeah. Don't really have that many updates today. Not much has happened since. But stream-wise, I figured out how to use stream tags. So all of my streams should be tagged accordingly from now on. And I finished my first semester of college, and I think I did pretty well, so that's nice. But that does mean that I should have more time to stream now, because I'm not at school all the time. Trying to keep this even and balanced, but it's a little difficult. There we go. Let me hold that the right way. I got a bonus content video up on my YouTube, which is the second one of those I've done. And I think it's pretty good, but I'm also most definitely a biased source. Just filling in the whites of the eyes a bit. There we go. That looks pretty good. Not quite sure what to do for eye color on this one. Because the main colors are, I could do blue, but the main colors are sort of oranges and reds. So I don't want to draw too much away from that, I guess. But also surrounding the area where the eye color would be is mostly sort of pinkish reds. So I don't know. Yeah, I'm almost tempted to do like an orange. Because I think that'll complement the rest of the doll really well. There we go. Focus in. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. Not the best at doing face-ups. So it's something that I need more practice on. That looks pretty good. Kind of outlining everything with a very fine tipped. This is a gray pencil that I sharpened a ton. So it's very, very pointy, so I can get into all of the details. Yeah. Of the pencils that are important to have like good quality of, because these ones are okay, but they're not the best. But it's important to have a good quality gray, black, and white pencils so that you can do outlining and all of that. Those are the colors that you need to have really pop, and that you need to be really careful with layering because they're very pigmented, and you don't want to accidentally, I guess, draw outside the lines, is a good way to put it. So you have to be real careful with those. There we go. It's okay if the first layer isn't perfect, because you can go back over it and clean everything up and add more layers. Focus. There you go. And then have a bunch of pastels, which I've been using these ones here to get the color on the face. Just kind of adding a little bit more pigmentation, smoothing everything down. There's a lot of blending involved when you're putting on pastels, which is good because the medium lends itself really well to that kind of work. So I'm just going in with straight red right now. Kind of pulling it out a little bit along the neckline. Going in really delicately and just highlighting along the cheekbones a little bit. And then I might go in with a little bit of this sort of more pinkish color to make it match the coral color of the hair a little bit better. Also to give a little bit more color variance. I'm just going to build up that red a little bit more first before I do that. There we go. You have to kind of scratch the pastel sticks sometimes because these are really solid. So I also have these ones, which are much softer. So you just barely touch them and the color comes off. But these ones, you have to be a little bit more forceful with it. Because they are pigmented, they're just also really solid. Didn't really go into this doll with a plan. Like, I rarely ever do when I'm working on doll projects. There we go. Just kind of went in and grabbed a hair color that I thought would match well with the skin tone. And then it's just repeated moments of, hey, wouldn't it be neat if? That's how I got that sort of face pattern and all of that. It's just, here's something I thought might be a little bit cool looking. And so far it's turning out. You have pretty good knowledge of how colors and all of that blend together. Taking a little bit of magenta and just dusting that sort of close to the hairline. Building up this really opaque red color. I've never really had trouble with getting my pastels to build into like solid sort of skin tone colors, I guess, and to blend together into an opaque surface. And I know that other people working on vinyl do have trouble with that, but that's not something I've encountered, and I don't know if that's just because of, like, legitimately there's so many variables that could be affecting that. Is it the pastels I'm using? It might even just be the weather, because that affects how the sealant builds. And if the sealant isn't building correctly, you're not going to get sort of the tooth to the material, which the pastels need to stick onto a smooth plastic material. And put this one aside for a moment. And grab her body, which is all of these fins that I molded on. And I have a couple ideas for something really crazy and colorful I could do on the body, which is use these, which is a pan pastel. I also have this really dark blue one, but I don't think that's gonna work quite for what I'm going for, so I'm gonna try using the bright blue first. And these are really soft and very, very pigmented. I'm just sort of using this to give a little bit more pop to the sort of base skin tone. because adding to the blue should help the red and especially the orange highlights really show up. And since it's kind of a greenish blue that I'm adding, that should also help a lot more with the red ones, because green and red are complementary colors like blue and orange are. So I guess when I say I don't plan my projects, I don't mean that. I do think about what I'm doing. I just don't plan it ahead of time. But I know sort of the look I want a little bit, and I know how the colors work together. So I can usually grab a color that will blend well with the other colors that I'm working with. And will make everything stand out in the way I want it to. There we go. These take a little bit more layering because they're so soft, I think. And also because I have like 2 layers of sealant on the face, but I don't have that on the body. Because I should have done that, but I didn't, so it takes a little bit more work to get the pastels to stick. But I think that'll work for what I'm going for, because I don't want these blue highlights to be very bright. Like, I want them to show up, but if I had this sort of electric blue color next to the orange, I think that would be a little bit brighter than what I'm intending for this doll. A little bit too busy looking, I guess. Instead, I'm just going in. I love working with pastels. They blend so beautifully. I guess it makes sense because you're basically working with pretty much as pure pigment as you can get, but it feels like working with just straight up raw color, which is wonderful. Everything sort of flows together really beautifully, which I really like. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. Yeah. I rarely ever, even on this doll, which I am using sort of the original doll's skin tone here, and a couple of features, like the webbed fingers, are staying the same, because that fits with what I'm going with, but I rarely ever leave the skin tone exactly the same. Because a solid plastic skin tone works well, but doesn't really have the variation that I like to see on my finished products. So I usually end up going in, even if it's just like this, with a layer of a brighter color pastel. Sort of add undertone to the skin. Give it some variation, especially on this one, because with the blue that I'm adding next to the sort of a couple red highlights in the skin, it gives it almost a pearlescent look, which fits really well for the style. Yeah, especially with the pan pastels, you have to have a mask on because these are really soft and really fine and will get into your lungs. So, wear a particle mask if you work with these. Speaking of particles, my workstation is getting a light dusting of blue. I'll probably honestly pick some of that up and put it on. There we go. Yeah. So yeah, hopefully I'll be able to keep up streaming once or twice a week. I was pretty busy this week because I had some stuff to sort out with the college and all of that. But so I only did one stream last week and one stream this week. But hopefully next week I'll be able to get more in. Oh, this is looking really nice. Yeah. This is turning out the way I wanted it to. I'm not sure what I wanted it to do, but this seems about correct. The news, my gloves are turning the same color as the doll. Which is another perk of wearing gloves, other than protecting the doll from you, protecting you from all of the pigment. However, I guarantee you when I take the gloves off, I am going to have paint on my hands, which doesn't make sense because I'm wearing gloves, but I am incapable of doing an art project with and end up without paint on my hands. That was horribly phrased, but you get the point. Usually when I do this, the base paint layer on a project, I run it a little bit, I guess, lighter than what I want the final product to be, so a little bit less bright. So I can go over, like I'm doing with this orange patch, which I'm going over with red to make sort of a more reddish orange. What's a little interesting about this doll is that the color scheme I'm using is all reds and blues, right? Except not purple, which you wouldn't expect because purple plus red. What? That's not correct. I just said that horribly wrong. Red plus blue makes purple, right? But I'm trying to keep the red and blue separate here so that they're complementing each other instead of mixing together. So there is a little bit of pink, like here, and all of that. But it's not really blending with the blue. creating this almost iridescent feel instead without actually using iridescent paint. Yeah. I'm gonna take my gloves off real quick here. Because these are solid plastic and very warm. And a little bit uncomfortable to wear for too long. Boop. There we go. Gloves are off. But there's another thing I wanted to show you guys, which is this. Sort of a blue-black hair color, which I was thinking would work well on the imposter. Oop, there we go. And I like this option, because I have a couple other hairs, but I like this option because, first of all, it's really striking against the rest of the color, and it's a little bit more muted. I considered doing something brighter, but I think that that would sort of be a little bit too much bright color with the amount of color that I put on the body. So I would think that would be almost a little bit too much. And also, I can kind of tell by the texture, and maybe you can see it a little bit, but this is saran hair as opposed to nylon, which I have used before on a project, and it becomes really malleable with heat. So it's very good for styling, which I think will work well with the concept that I'm working with. Am I going to keep building the EVA suit? Yes, someday. Don't worry about it. I need to do some more research about how to do that, because I've never actually done that kind of foam work on a doll before, other than the Solar Knight's armor, but that's a different concept, so I have to do a little bit more practice and a little bit more research, and I might do some of that on stream, but no. I went through all of my materials and sorted them out and did all that. And I am not going to be short on projects for a while, because I have an entire bin full of thrift store dolls that I can work on. There's pastels on my hand. Ugh. Forever. It's a curse. Alright, putting gloves back on so I can keep working, but yeah. I don't know what I was talking about. My train of thought has disappeared and I can't even remember it. Oh, yeah. I'm not gonna run out of stuff to work on, which is good. I'm not entirely sure how this is going to proceed come, like, fall, because I'm going to be at college, but hopefully I'll figure out a way to make that work, because I would like to keep streaming. Trying to get glove back on. Don't take off your rubber gloves if you're trying to get them back on. It's so difficult. There we go. That seems good. I made a document that is a list of just things that I think I can improve upon in my content. Or stuff that I can do that will improve the stuff I'm making and all of that. So hopefully I'm able to keep working on all of those stuff. Because earlier today I made this screen, which I did not have a post-stream screen before. That's a difficult sentence to say, but I did not have one. And hopefully that, yeah. My voice is not cooperating, I apologize, but hopefully that will help with making good content, I guess. So, I'm gonna get back to work on the imposter, because I don't know what to do next for the merfolk, so I'm gonna think about that while I'm working on this. Don't forget to put mask on, even though I'm working with pencils, so it's a little bit of a moot point. Just kind of brightening up the whites of the eyes. Going over the teeth. There we go, this looks good. Had to find the right shade of red to use for the pupil. Not the pupil, the iris. There we go. I got the word. I'm gonna try to kind of blend the sculpted mouth with the molded mouth. So the one I made with the one they made. There we go. That's looking pretty good. I grant you as good as the face of a intentionally horrifying character can be. I'm really proud of that. Sort of mixture of the colors there. Need to get that purple color, which, if I remember correctly, is this one. That seems right. Boop. It's in the other pack of pencils. I have so many supplies. That's looking pretty good. Yeah. Adding some more highlights to the teeth there. I think the imposter is almost done. Beyond the hair and then the outfit. With putting in all of that. It's probably one of the more impressive body mods that I've done. I think I know how I'm going to proceed on this one. Just going to keep kind of bringing everything out. we go. Just realized I haven't been talking for the past, like, several minutes. Just been focusing. Yeah. That's looking pretty good. I can never make face-up streams last more than, like, 50 minutes. More than an hour. There's only so much you can do before you have to go spray things, and then I can't take you with for that, and then there's like an hour dry time. Birds are making a guest appearance. So yeah, that's probably it for today's stream. So, boop. Thank you guys for... Or thank you to everybody who showed up and everybody who's watching the recording. I had a great time today. I hope you did too. My social medias are on the screen now. This is much simpler. I don't have to go through and list all of my social media handles in my outro, because they're all right there. Yeah. Alright. Gonna try to stream again, like, within a week. We'll see how that goes. Things might come up. Life's been pretty busy, but yeah. See you guys later.